And Brandon Collins pulling up post-GT race there.
Jumping from his GT car into a Spec Miata, and he's now works his way towards the paddock to start and get into the grid. As we look at going ahead through the top 10 of what the day's order is going to be like. So Matt Alexander is on the pole for the race. Brandon Collins will line up P2 alongside him on his right side. Matt Keck will be third. Taro Kishida running in fourth. Alex Bertinoli will roll off fifth. Ethan Tyler sixth. Tom Bagley seventh. Greg Sorg, our in-car driver, will be eighth. Jake Malter will be ninth, and Dave Hicks will round out the top 10 for today's activities.
SM2 on the front row, we have Mark Stadolski starting on the front next to Luke Satterfield. His son, Steve Stadolski, actually starting right behind him next to Matteo Azzari. Kevin Loffridge, followed up by Bob Grosslack, followed by Jack Kobus, Chris DeMuzio, who actually lost an axle during qualifying, but already getting back out there. Bill Hamill, and then Emmett Ryan to round out the top 10.
So as the grid continues to form up, Brandon Collins and Bill Hamill now making their way, finding their selected spots before they are told to get this field rolling and get the engines fired to get this race underway.
It will be a split start out there, so that SM1 and SM2 will have a split start. So you'll see a little bit of a gap between them as they come down to the green flag. So expect them to kind of start to make that gap, kind of coming around 6, 7. You'll start to see them space out a little bit. And something interesting about that is that it kind of puts that second field a little bit further back. So will the faster guys catch up to those back markers out there? It's something you're going to have to watch for.
Yeah, we're looking for around, I would say, roughly around 32 cars today, I'd say, probably in this field. So pretty good field. Actually, about 28 cars is going to be out here today. So a pretty good sized field for coming just off a couple races ago with Festival Speed being just a short 2 weeks ago. And as we go into this race, too, the biggest thing as well as we head into this track, it being 1.46 miles, we got 27 cars in this field. And this is going to be on a 1.46 mile track, and especially with the split start, it's going to play a little bit of lap traffic into play and how this race is going to pan out. So the leaders are probably going to have to negotiate some lap traffic as we get later on into the end of this race.
Yeah, and hopefully, we'll see what happens out there. Hopefully we don't see it again after these first couple laps, our Lexus pace car out there. But is that going to play into it at all?
Yeah, that can always come into play as well, as we have no idea when that could come out at the portion of this race. But we will always see as we get ready for race 8 of the Autobahn Spec Miata series. Ethan Tyler now filing into his starting spot. He'll roll off on the 6th spot here, as we are now 1 minute away from rolling off onto the field to get this race underway.
And you can see everybody kind of has a little bit of a different ritual out there. So we just saw Matt Alexander just closing his door, maybe just getting strapped in with 1 minute to go.
Yeah, everyone sometimes goes all the way to the last minute here trying to get themselves prepped up, ready to go. Some people like to get to the grid maybe 5 minutes early, relax a little bit, make sure they're safe. Others want to get there as a last-minute ditch effort just to kind of make sure they're ready and they're ready to go for the race.
A little bit hot in there, too. You can see some people cooling off. So hopefully these guys stay hydrated out there.
Very hot in these cars. They can exceed up to temperatures around 120 degrees inside these cars on a very hot day. And especially as the brakes start to get more heat into it, those footwells will get even hotter, and it gets hot on the driver's feet as this race goes on.
Another interesting one that could come into play is that number 14 car, Alex Bertinoli. Doesn't race in all the races out here, but he races in Spec MX5 series as well, so will he have anything to say in this race?
Just came off a weekend, actually, just up in Road America this past couple weekends ago. So, he's been able to do the SCCA June sprints up there, has been doing a bunch of racing. He's got about 3 races coming up here shortly. We're going to race him down Daytona, I think, next week. Then he's going down to Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. And then he's rounding off his year, I think, at Sebring down in Florida.
As we ride along with Greg Sorg, that was that spray-painted car that we just saw an exterior shot of. So we'll ride along with him as we pull out onto the track. Drivers getting to see which side they're going to be on as they pull out here.
And this is a good ritual that Autobahn does here to kind of just show everyone where they're going to be lining up on the grid, whether you're going to be on the left-hand side or right-hand side. You see who you're going to be starting up alongside. You see who you're going to be starting behind, who you're going to be starting in front of. So it just gives you an idea for when we had to double up and get ready to go racing, who you're going to be starting alongside. As we get the grid shot from the drone of the whole beautiful field as they now roll off pit road, we get ready to go racing for race number 8 of the Autobahn Spec Miata series.
Yeah, and you can actually see it too that Matt really decided that he wants the inside of that second turn there. So he didn't take the inside of turn 1. He's taking the inside of turn 2. That's where he thinks he's going to have the best shot at making a move and kind of staying in the lead there.
So this makes it interesting because if Brandon Collins can get the jump, he can almost lead the way into turn number 1, could potentially cross over in front of Matt Alexander as they go through turn number 1 and get into turn number 2, giving him the advantage. But Matt Alexander hoping he can fire off well, hold the outside on Brandon Collins, and be able to hold it through turn number 2 and hopefully turn number 3. So as the field now starts to roll off, let's go ahead and take our way through the grid and go through this whole field of Spec Miata drivers, both in SM1 and SM2. Rolling off first on the pole sitter would be the number 157 of Matt Alexander. He had the fastest time of 1 minute 12 seconds, .042. Was able to snatch the pole from 5 thousandths of a second over Brandon Collins in the number 144 with a 1 minute 12 second .047 for P2. That is your front row of Matt Alexander, Brandon Collins. Row number 2 will be the 01 of Matt Keck and the 60 of Taro Kashida lining up in 4th. Row number 3 will be the number 14 of Alex Bertignoli and the 08 of Ethan Tyler to his right side. Row number 4 will be the number 3 of Tom Bagley and our onboard shot right here of the number 71 of Greg Sword. Row number 5 in the number 9 spot will be the 69 of Jake Malter and the number 10 of Dave Hicks.
And heading back into SM2, we have in first Mark Stadolski, second Luke Satterfield, followed by third Steve Stadolski. Starting in 4th will be Matteo Azzari, 5th Kevin Loffridge, 6th Bob Grosslack, 7th Jack Kobus, 8th Chris DeMuzio, 9th Bill Hamill, 10th Emmett Ryan, 11th Alan Zoker, and in 12th place Adam Lavelle. We actually do have 4 rookies this season in that SM2 class as well.
Yeah, Kevin Lockridge being one of them, Jake Kobus, Chris DeMuzio, and Alan Zolcher also being the rookies. We're also pointing out Mike Bernardi starting at 11th, Scott Bowman in the 12th spot, Art Zeismer 13th, Scott Ballard in the 14th, and then Jim Dvorak, who had a little bit of a transponder issue in qualifying, will roll off 15th in Spec Miata. So the field right now on the first of 2 pace laps, coming to the end of that first of 2 pace laps, going to get the one to go signal from the flag man up in the flag stand. Field right now in synchronized form, basically weaving back and forth, looked like a little bit like everyone was on the same page of what we're doing here, but weaving back and forth, trying to get all the rubber off their tires, also trying to give it some throttle, give some brake, to get some heat and temperature in the tires, all a part of the warm-up process here on the warm-up lap to get their tires up to optimal temperature and to the highest temperature possible, getting ready to go green.
Yeah, and you can see different drivers do that, other ones don't. It looked like Brandon Collins was just focused on the car in front of him there. He was not swerving back and forth. He's thinking about what's in front of him, how he's going to get down into that first turn.
Well, everyone always makes the argument on you weave back and forth to warm your tires up. You really don't in this case. I'd say you weave back and forth to really clean your tires off. You really warm your tires off through throttling and braking, and through the brake temperatures of the rotors itself is what gets the heat from the brake temperature from the brake rotors into the tire itself, and that's really where you get your heat from in the brakes. But most of the drivers weave back and forth just to clean the marbles and clean the tires off, and as we get ready to go green this time by. Field's starting to double up now as they head on the back straightaway from turns 5 to turn 6. The front row of Matt Alexander and Brandon Collins starting to get the field organized as we've now see the field start to do the separation for the split start between Spec Miata and SM2.
Pace car's going to pull ahead here, pull into the pits. Oh, now Brandon's deciding to warm up his tires, get some marbles off there.
Just a little bit of last minute weaving here just to get his tires, make sure they're fully clean and ready to go for the start. Field already looking very nicely organized in a 2x2 fashion. Really well. Good job by all the Spec Miata guys to get themselves all sorted. Pace car now will pull away as the field organizedly 2x2 comes around turn number 7, ready to go for the start of this race.
Nice tight spacing there. A little bit of a gap from Tom Bagley there. We'll see if he catches back up, closes that gap a bit.
Matt Alexander now will start to speed the field up as we get off the final corner here. We'll slow him back down, conjunction back up again as the field now 2x2 rolls to the start. And the attention of the starter stand. Field is now in Matt Alexander's hands as he starts to start rolling, get some momentum, and the green flag is out, and we are underway here at the Audubon. Brandon Collins with a nice jump, a huge...
A little bit of a tap there. I think we had a little bit of front-to-back contact there. 3 wide through 1.
Brandon Collins got
almost 4 wide through 2.
Brandon Collins got a huge shove from Taro Kashida, and here we go with the SM2 field. Green flag is out. Mateos are already pulling out to make it 3 wide.
4 wide almost through turn 1. Everybody clean. Back to 2 wide for turn 2.
Stadolski going to get away well. Luke Satterfield goes to second. Matteo Azzari trying to fight his way to second, but he's going side by side with Steve Stadolski as back up front in the Spec Miata field. It is Brandon Collins with the lead. Taro Kashida second. Matt Alexander trying to get a little sideways off of turn 4. Tries to go to the inside. Further back, it's going to be Greg Zor looking to the inside of Matt Keck.
Doesn't pull it quite off there. A little bit of a delay, but that gave us a chance to actually see inside the car there.
Greg Zorg, we're on board with right now, running in the 6th spot. You got Matt Keck in front of him, Ethan Tyler in front of him, and I believe that is Alex Bertignoli right behind him in the 7th spot.
Keck there.
Keck goes a little bit wide. Now Greg Zorg falls back in line, looks right in the tire tracks of Matt Keck. Zorg gets a little out of shape here on the final corner as they come off the last turn to complete the first lap of the 20.
And you can see Taro right on Brandon Collins there.
Top 3 are now starting to pull away. It's Brandon Collins in the lead. Taro Kashida in second. Matt Alexander running in third. Taro goes a little bit of a defensive line on Matt Alexander. He goes a little wide. Zorg does the same thing as the field now follows through turn number 1. Clean and green so far through the whole first lap.
Back to SM2 here. Everybody kind of nice and clean through here. Kevin Loffridge taking the inside, but now he's got the outside of turn 2 here.
Got Emmett Ryan there where he was side-by-side battle with. He gives the spot to Emmett Ryan. He moves up to the 6th spot now in SM2.
Man, Matt Alexander all over the back of Taro this time by.
Taro was trying to think about maybe going a little defensive there, thought better of it. Matt Alexander kind of rides in the tire tracks, gets a little bit out of shape. Now he'll push Taro Kashida, trying to go catch the back bumper of the 144, Brandon Collins. Now we look further back here. I would say the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's Ethan Tyler in the 0801 of Matt Keck, 671 of Greg Zorg, and the 14 of Alex Bertignoli. That is the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th there as they now come on the main straightaway. Matt Keck going to get a little bit of a draft here from the 08 of Ethan Tyler as they go down the straightaway. Greg Zorg on board with now. You can see Matt Keck trying to get a little bit of a draft. Takes a peek to the inside, trying to fill the mirrors up of the 08 of Ethan Tyler. Just kind of holds in line right now. Zorg does the same thing, gets right up to the back bumper of Matt Keck as they go through turn number 1 and 2.
You can see Matt Alexander using all the track available to him here. He's really trying to push, gain back that first place position.
A little bit further back, it looks like Mike Bernardi trying to go to the inside. We got a battle for the lead in SM2. That's Luke Satterfield who just went to the inside. Take a 2-for-1, I would say. Luke Satterfield to the inside of Mark Stadolski. Now side by side with Matteo Azzari, and then also throw into the mix. You have Steve Stadolski in that mix as well.
Side by side, a lot of red cars out there. A little bit confusing on which one's which.
I think that's Luke Satterfield in the front with Matteo Azzari second, Mark Stadolski third, Rob Groslick, I think, in the 4th spot, and then you got Steve Stadolski in 5th, as now Steve Stadolski looks to the inside of Rob Groslick going into turn number 6. Stadolski looking to the inside. Actually, I think Stadolski on the outside. It's the other way around there. So many red cars, you can't tell what's the difference.
Oh, look at how close.
Oh, they're rubbing doors. Rubbing doors here on the front from turn 6 to turn 7.
This is an extremely competitive place. A little bit of a lock up there.
He's in the grass a little bit. He's around.
He's going to be clear there, so everybody's going to get by. An unfortunate series of events there for Bob Grosslack.
Just got 2 tires into the grass there, locked up the left front tire, and when you get 2 tires into the grass there and add a little bit of wheel input, it unfortunately will just suck you around faster than you can think about it. He'll fall back into the clutches of Kevin Lockridge as well, so Lockridge now has someone to kind of battle with. We'll think about it and try to go for another position.
SM2, last time we were coming through these turns, these guys were all over each other, but all that battling, they really spaced out quite a bit.
Absolutely, and everything's kind of spaced out between each other. We had Emmett Ryan, the 81, kind of go a little wide there. I think that's Jake Kobus now going to the inside of him. He'll get that spot. And then you got Chris DeMuzio and Alan Zolcher. 2 rookies are battling with each other right now on track, right in front of Bill Hamill.
Just in front of them, we have Jack Kobus and Emmett Ryan battling it out.
Zolcher now looking to the inside of Chris DeMuzio again. DeMuzio going to run the outside. Zolcher going to be on the inside in that yellow number 1. He'll look to the inside of turn number 6. Give the spot to Alan Zolcher as they go through turn number 6.
But Alan a little bit slow out of 6 there. Chris trying to figure out which way he wants to take it. He's going to go for the inside going into 7 here.
Here comes Bill Hamill. Add him to the fray of party here of 3 as they go into turn number 7. Chris DeMuzio looking to the inside of Alan Zolcher. They go through. Zolcher goes through. Bill Hamill makes his pass on Chris Zolcher on the outside going through turn number 7.
Yeah, and Bill went through that program with us yesterday and really gained a lot of time. And kind of he's progressing quite a bit out there. So it's good to see him get kind of in this mix, having some good battles out there.
I think he was quite happy with the progression he's been able to show himself, as well as how he's been able to kind of handle this more. Right now, he's trying to use everything that he learned yesterday into this battle and use it to his arsenal. He's now on the back bumper of Alan Zocher here, trying to really stick with him. Zocher will just pull away here on the straightaway, but Bill Hamill will try to reel him back in as we move back to SM1.
Ethan Tyler on the inside of Keck here.
Going defensive line as Keck looks to the outside. Keck's going to try to roll it. So give the spot to Ethan Tyler right now. He holds on to the 4th spot. Keck's still right in the tire tracks. They've kind of pulled away from number 71 of Greg Sorg and number 14 of Alex Bertinolis. We're going to go side by side down the front straightaway.
Yeah, and Ethan had to take a little bit of a tighter line into turn 8 there, so he lost some time. So Keck's really pulling on him down this straight.
Keck now takes the position over Ethan Tyler into turn number 1. Also, side-by-side battle behind them between Greg Zorg and Alex Bertinoli. Zorg's going to lose it!
Off, and it looks like he is going to make contact with the wall there.
Zorg into the wall on the driver's left-hand side in turn number 1. Keeps it rolling, though. Gets it back going. On board with him. Unfortunately, we were going to get on board at the shot right as he hit the wall. But nonetheless, he's able to continue going. We'll just have to see if that car is still able to be functional or if it's got any more mechanical damage.
Jim Dvorak on the inside of him here, so it's going to take him some time. If he's going to keep going, he's got a lot of dirt on his tires. He's going to have to kind of get all of that off, get back up to speed here.
I'm not seeing any smoke right now coming out of the back of that 71 car, so that's a good sign for now. As of now, he has a little bit of smoke as he makes right-hand turns going through turn number 5, but I will say it was just the curbing that he got on for turn number 1 is what made him lose the back end of the number 71 car. Had the correction, locked the car down to try to save it. Unfortunately, he just ran out of road.
And it does look like, do you see a little bit of smoke there? I might have seen a puff of smoke, so I think he's going to pull off here.
I think he has a little bit of a right rear tire rub or a left rear tire rub as he made contact with the left side of that car. Maybe a left rear tire rub that he has when he goes through right-hand corners with that body panel of the Greg Zorg 71 machine. He continues to stay out on track. Let's see if he's going to be a trooper and go all the way through. Meanwhile, the SM2 battle is actually continuing to go on as Greg Zorg does have some smoke coming out of the left rear side of that car.
Yeah, and it looked like his bumper was a little bit loose after hitting that wall there, so could be the bumper dragging, could be the wheel rubbing.
Yeah, as they go into one right now, we got the SM2 battle of Luke Satterfield and Matteo Azzari battling now, this heating up. And these are two young drivers who are battling against each other. Really good drivers as well. Luke Satterfield has come into his own, but Matteo Azzari, who was able to get his first win earlier this year, has really shown his own and has shown his wealth in this second half of the season.
Yeah, and Matteo is also a member of the Autobahn Driver Academy, so he put in a lot of work last year, and actually this year he's actually moving into travel racing as well. So he's had some good racing at Road America and kind of getting around, seeing some different tracks as well.
Matteo is already putting himself in his name into the hat of a Young Driver Academy Award winner potentially this year. We'll see how it happens. He continues to impress the rest of the Autobahn staff here. But Matteo Azzari now continuing to keep the pressure on Luke Satterfield as they come off turn 6, heading towards turn number 7. He'll stay in the tire tracks, but remember they got the wounded car of Greg Zorg right in front of them.
Yeah, and it looks like any time that he's making a right-hand turn, whatever load that he's putting into the car, that's where he's getting that smoking. So hopefully that back tire stays up.
As we continue on, we can see the back end of the SM field. It's Jim Dvorak right there in the number 39 blue car. Greg Sorg comes by. Then you got the SM2 battle between Luke Satterfield and Matteo Azzari. And then a little bit further back behind them is the battle for the third spot. That's Steve Stadolski and Mark Stadolski. You got the Stadolski family reunion back there.
Yep. Some good battle all the way kind of towards the back here, too, it looks like.
That is the battle towards the back there, and that looks like it's going to be around Adam Lavelle, Bob Groslick, and Kevin Lockridge, two guys who have kind of had a little bit of trouble there, both Bob Groslick and Kevin Lockridge having a little bit of trouble earlier this race. If we move back up forward towards the back end of the SM1 battle, the front 7 or 8 have kind of strung out a little bit, but let's look a little bit further back towards the end of the top 10 area, and then you look at Jake Malter there in the 69, Scott Ballard in the 190, Tom Bagley in the 3, Mike Bernardi in the 8 car there, who picked up a spot actually this last time by. Mike Bernardi now moves himself up into the 9th position. Kevin Ballard, Dave Hicks, and Art Zeismer and Scott Bowman are also in that battle as well. As we come through now to turn number 1, Scott Ballard going to take a defensive line here on Mike Bernardi. Bernardi going to try to roll the outside a little bit of a lockup there between Art Zeismer. As we got going into the corner now, turn number 1. This is a side-by-side battle between Greg Sorg and Jim Dvorak. Sorg gets the spot. Dvorak on his bumper, though. Give the spot to Sorg as he gets a little loose. He's off again. Driver's left here at the exit of turn number 2. And now Jim Dvorak going to try to holds on to the car, stays on with it, but Jim Dvorak was almost getting another opportunity of chance to be able to pounce on the Greg Sorg. I think it was just a little bit of another curbing incident of too much apex from Greg Sorg that's getting the rear end to get a little snappy on him.
Yeah, and those SM2 guys are catching these guys up here. So, you know, the top guys of SM1, they might be catching the back of SM2 guys, but these SM2 guys, they're catching the back of the SM1 field.
Yeah, right now Greg Sorg is just trying to do as much as he can to keep that rear end stabilized. Right now he thinks it's just a disconnected rear end compared to what he's been feeling normally. But right now, as we look ahead, almost back up towards the SM field, it's been Brandon Collins continuing to lead the way, over 0.8 of a second over Taro Kishida. Then you got Matt Alexander running in 3rd, Matt Keck in 4th, Alex Bertinelli 5th, Jake Malter 6th, Scott Ballard in 7th, Mike Bernardi 8th, Ethan Tyler 9th, and Todd Bagley rounds up the top 10 as we got a battle now further back. Ethan Tyler is kind of falling back a little bit here.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can pick up some more speed. Those two guys in front of him, Ballard, Bernardi, they're really trying to battle it out a little bit, so what is Ethan going to be able to take advantage of here?
Something must have happened to Ethan Tyler there as he lost now 6 seconds that last lap.
Bernardi runs really wide.
Bernardi a little wide, but Ethan Tyler lost 6 seconds that last lap. Lost 4 spots on the track. Went from 5th to 9th that last lap here. So Ethan Tyler trying his best to now regain his composure, get himself back up in the field as we got the battle now from Scott Ballard. That's 7th, basically all the way to 14th here at the end of this train.
Everybody running a little bit wide. That track is just really greasy out there this week.
Either it's that or everyone's just using every inch of it as much as they can. As we got a side-by-side battle going into turn number 7. That was between the number 8 of Mike Bernardi and the number 190 of Scott Ballard. I believe give the spot to Mike Bernardi as they come through turn number 7 and turn number 8. As we look back more up front, that's the battle for the lead between Brandon Collins, Taro Kushida, and Matt Alexander. Matt Alexander just threw in the fastest lap of the race, so add his name to the hat of winners for here.
And Bernardi and Ballard side by side right now.
Going into turn number 1, Bernardi on the inside, Ballard on the outside. Bernardi going to hold the spot as they come in, give the spot to Bernardi, as well as Ethan Tyler trying to pounce all over the back of Scott Ballard. Bernardi still continuing to be defensive as they go into turn number 3. He'll continue to hold the spot, but it's just bringing Ethan Tyler back in.
The inside. Is he going to take 2 spots here or 1?
He's going to get to the inside of Scott Ballard. Try to shove Ballard a little wide here to get through the corner, but get the spot to Ethan Tyler. He's through to the number 6 to the number 7 spot. Now Tom Bagley looking to the inside of Ballard. Does Tom Bagley go for it? He does. He drives it in deep. It's hard on the brakes. Bagley is now through Scott Ballard. Scott Ballard is losing his momentum here as now he's got another family member.
Car.
Here comes Kevin Ballard to the inside. It's like a go-kart race. He just got shoved on the line. And he's losing spots left and right. Kevin Ballard going to go to the inside. Going to hold Scott Ballard to the outside now. Here comes Dave Hicks to the list. Does Dave Hicks get a run on Ballard? He checks up a little bit. A little coordinated effect back there between Hicks, Art Zeismer, and Scott Ballard. As now we come off the final corner. Hicks now going to set his sights. Does he get a run to be able to get a run on Scott Ballard? He's
going for the inside of turn 1 here.
Takes a peek to the inside. Is he able to make it stick? Is he able to make it work? He thinks better of it. We'll think again. And we'll tuck back in line. Does he look to the inside now of Scott Ballard? Ballard drives it in really deep. No, the door gets shut on him. David Hicks going to have to hold off now. And now he looks in his mirror and plays defensively on Art Zeismer. And now here comes Ethan Tyler again.
Ethan Tyler got around Bernardi there.
He did the exact same move that he did on Scott Ballard there as Ethan Tyler now moves up another spot. Move him now to the 7th position on Mike Bernardi.
Mike Bernardi has something to say about that, though. He's looking to the inside of 6, tucks back in. He's going to wait to make that move.
Thinks better of it. Now tucks back in line. So you got the battle of the 8 and the 0-8s between Ethan Tyler and Mike Bernardi. Bernardi now gets another run. Will tuck into the tire tracks of Ethan Tyler. Thinks about a move if he can. He'll pick a peek to the inside. Just fill the mirrors up. Get Ethan Tyler looking. And Ethan Tyler will hold on to the spot. But we're back up front. Battle for the lead here between the 144 Brandon Collins, the 60 Taro Kishida, and the 157 of Matt Alexander.
As they come around to the halfway mark of this race here. So just kind of run it out in front. All these guys, a lot of experience here. Just pulling away, kind of waiting for their right moment.
All three Yeah, all three of these guys all within a tenth of a second of their fastest laps throughout the whole day. Matt Alexander continues to hold the fastest lap here as Ethan Tyler has now got passed again by Mike Bernardi on the front straightaway here. So Bernardi and Ethan Tyler just going back and forth, trading positions here. Will Ethan Tyler be able to pull the same move that he just did on Mike Bernardi again here to turn number 3? The answer, no.
And those SM2 guys, they're catching up to Jim Dvorak here, so they're going to have to wait, try and find the right moment to make these passes. And it looks like both of them are going to get by here. We'll watch them go into turn 3.
Luke Satterfield able to go around the outside of Jim Dvorak through the corner of turn number 2. But meanwhile, Matteo Azzari thought he could do the switchback on him. He tried it, was able to succeed it in turn number 3. But now you got the number 89 of Bob Grosselek, the 84 of Steve Stodolski goes on to the back of Jim Dvorak to try to get into this fight for the lead in SM2. Steve Stodolski now going to the inside of the 39 of Jim Dvorak. Will make that pass work, and now he sets his sights on the 2 leaders in front of him. One is way off
here. The 83 there of Mark Stodolski.
Taps the wall.
Out. We'll see if he can get it going again here.
He taps the wall a little bit, and doesn't look like it's much rear damage. Able to get the car fired and rolling again, so we are going to be able to potentially stay green here if he can keep it going. One car off as well. That's Kevin Lockridge in the number 4.
Oh, and we got a loose tail light on that car as well, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Does have a loose tail light there. Mark Stodolski able to keep the car rolling there, so he'll be able to keep the grace. Looks like under green for now.
We got to wonder, with back-to-back cars kind of sliding off, is there something on the surface down there?
It's very interesting for sure. As we got the battle for the lead, Luke Satterfield took a defensive line of Matteo Azzari. Azzari was able to roll more speed through the middle of that corner of turn number 2. Now looks onto the back bumper of Luke Satterfield. You could tell from this drone shot, it's a really good view just to kind of see who's breaking and closing the gap up versus when they're pulling away from each other. So right now, in lockstep formation between the number 13 of Luke Satterfield and number 10 of Matteo Azzari.
Back down to coming out of turn 2 here. We got some of the back markers still battling it out as the front guys from SM1 are going to catch up to them. So is this going to play any role here?
So this is what we talked about earlier in the race about having lap traffic potentially coming to play. We're just a little bit past halfway here. 8 laps to go for our leaders. You got the 144, Brandon Collins, continue to lead the way, but you now they got the back half of SM2 traffic that they're going to have to negotiate with in the next couple of laps here. And you can add the number 83 of Mark Stodolski to that list as well.
Yeah, you can tell that Matt Alexander is hungry, and he is waiting for that right moment to make these passes on these guys. So is he going to be able to pull it off? Is this traffic going to help him?
Well, you also got to take into consideration, too, here, Ben, that these 3 are probably the top 3 in the championship right now, battle running for this year. So it just comes down to championship points here. As we were talking about in the drivers' meeting, we were just a little bit past halfway here in the Spec Miata season. Out of the 14 races that you get of the season, only 10 of them are counting towards your point total. You get 4 drops throughout the year. So when you look at it from this standpoint, you know, which races are going to be your drops, which races are going to be races that you're going to be counting towards your championship. All these positions potentially count. Yes, you're running for a podium here and running for the race win, but you know, a race win versus the third place podium spot can mean 20 points difference at the end of the year's championship battle.
Yeah, and Brandon Collins, he might be the young guy out of these 2, almost half the age of the 2 drivers behind him. But he's also on his 2nd race of the day, so it's a pretty long Spec Miata race here that we have going on. You know, is he going to start getting a little bit tired towards the end of this race?
This is the battle a little bit further back here. You got Kevin Ballard in the 101, Scott Ballard in the 190, who got a shove from the Art Zeismer in the 15, the 26 of Scott Bowman, and then the 25 of Dave Hicks behind them. This is the battle for the top 10 through 14th. Or 10 through 14th we are seeing here on the screen.
Yeah, and it looks like Ethan Tyler and Mike Bernardi, they kind of checked out of this little group. They were part of this pack, but they're putting some distance between themselves. So they're running a little bit safer, going through turn 5 now, coming down into 6.
Yeah, and Tom Bagley's trying to join them as well. He's trying to get away from the fray behind him, as you could say. He's now out by himself trying to log some laps and put it on some fast laps as he can. But these guys right now are single file formation, kind of pushing each other, and that's going to allow them to potentially catch back up to Tom Bagley unless they start battling each other here. So we'll see as they come down to turn number 6 and turn number 7. Right now we got Scott Ballard right now holding on to the back end of Kevin Ballard, but you got the 15 of Art Zeismer kind of hanging with them. If Art can get to the back of Scott Ballard and push him up to Kevin Ballard, this can start some battling here. But now you got a big run from Scott Bowman coming to the back of Art Zeismer.
And the leader's catching the back of the pack there. So Brandon Collins taking the inside of turn 4. Nice clean pass. Looks like Taro and Matt going to get by as well.
That little bit of breathing room here is now you start to see some of the guys get out of the way and seeing the leaders coming on through. Right now, Taro and Matt Alexander trying to work together to not let Brandon Collins get too far away here, but they're hoping the lap traffic that's a little bit ahead of them can work to their advantage to reel him back in.
Yeah, and that was some really nice race etiquette by Alan Zucker there. So you can tell he's watching for flags. He probably got the blue flag there and kind of pulled off to the side, let those leaders go through. So he knows they, let's not mess up these top guys' race.
And now we look a little bit further back. This is the battle for SM2 here as Luke Satterfield has kind of pulled a little bit away from Matteo Azzari, has built a little bit of a buffer or a gap, and now Matteo Azzari is kind of falling back into the clutches of Steve Stadolski here. Stadolski all over the back bumper of Matteo Azzari, trying to see what he can do to maybe get by for a second place finish.
Nice and smooth as looks like Steve's looking for a little bit of a pull coming out of the turn there. He's going to stay behind. Maybe get this pass done on the front straight here. He is all over the back of Matteo, though.
He's just trying to set it up right now, Matteo, trying to look in his mirrors right now. He's driving more out of his mirrors than he is out of the front windshield. As Stadolski gets a pretty decent run out of the final corner here, will he be able to pull up to the back bumper, or is he going to push Matteo, or is he going to go for the move and make the pass? Matteo, taking a little bit of a defensive line, will now move kind of more to the driver's side line, but Steve Stadolski...
I'll have to leave some room on the outside of one here. Nope, tucks back in. Steve Stadolski looking to the outside here. He could get a good run coming out of 2.
He tried to look for a little bit of over-under move potentially, but it's not going to work as Matteo Azzari now continues to hold the second spot as they move to turn number 3. But this is all allowing Luke Satterfield, the race leader in SM2, to kind of pull away a little bit.
A little bit of a slide from Luke there, though. So you got all these guys' tires. They're getting hot. They've been out there for a while, and just driver degradation too as well. So getting tired out there. Steve looks to the inside of Matteo here and looks like he's going to hold it there.
As now Steve goes to the inside, will make it to the inside pass of Matteo Azzari as they come through turn number 3. So move Steve Stadolski up to the next spot. He'll go to the second spot. Matteo Azzari will drop it back to third as the leaders right now.
Matteo looking back to the inside here.
Taking a peek.
Doesn't quite have it. And so, if Steve Stadolski can hold on here, is he going to be able to catch up to Luke Satterfield?
They're going to have to kind of work their way up to get to the front of the field if they can, because Luke Satterfield has kind of pulled himself a little bit of a gap here. As we look further back up at the SM field, Brandon Collins has now ran the fastest lap of the race, taking that away from Matt Alexander. Taro Kashida still has ran his personal best lap, too, in the second spot. And Matt Alexander right now is just hanging on in the third spot.
So much for Brandon Collins getting a little bit tired doing 2 races out there.
Yep. He's still fresh as a daisy being in the Spec Miata car. A little bit further back, too, you look at the top 10 battle as well. That's a pretty good battle between the 10th to the 14th spot. But looking back up front here, Brandon Collins has now extended the gap once again, has leaded over a half-second gap over Taro Kashida and Matt Alexander. These guys are kind of falling back off a little bit, but they need to work together in order to go catch the 144 of Brandon Collins ahead. It's now a 1.2 second gap between Brandon Collins and Taro Kashida. Matt Alexander looking outside of Taro Kashida. Doesn't work. We'll think about it. Better of it. Falls back in line, and we'll have to regain the ground back up to Taro.
Cool shot of our Audubon Beaver Dam there.
You can see the different lines that they take here. Matt Alexander takes a little bit more of a shallower line or a little bit tighter line and then opens the entry up for turn 5, whereas Taro Kashida takes a much more wider line and then narrows it up for turn number 5. So different lines from different driving styles from each of these drivers.
And a lot of traffic coming up here, and they're coming up on traffic that's really battling it out in front of them, so it might not be quite as clean as what they were getting before with some of those other back markers.
But the good news is Brandon Collins being very definitive with his moves. He shows the nose early to Christian Musio, makes the move happen, and going to the inside, gets that spot up. Now he'll look for his sights on Bill Hamill as the next car in front of him as they come off the final corner to the start-finish line to complete the next lap. Blue flags are being displayed for Bill Hamill right there as he knows the next car behind him is going to be Brandon Collins, and the leaders of second and third are right behind him.
Brandon really taking advantage of this traffic out there. So now he's got one car in between Taro and Matt and himself. So as we're going to come around the next time by to the white flag here. So it looks like as long as he kind of gets through here clean, he might be able to put enough space between him and himself and Taro and Matt Alexander.
Yeah, the lap car, Bill Hamill's going to play a huge role here if Bill Hamill doesn't get out of the way really quickly of Taro Kishida and Matt Alexander. Unfortunately, these guys right now are going to kind of catch up on him in a very bad spot. Is Taro Kishida now poke the nose to the inside of Bill Hamill. Bill Hamill hopefully able to see it and get out of the way and not slow these guys up as much as they come through the final corner. Unfortunately, Taro was not able to do it, but he'll try to pick the draft off of Bill Hamill going down the back straightaway into turn number 7.
And this looks like a great opportunity for Matt to take advantage here if he can. But no, it looks like he's going to stay to the outside there.
Yeah, no, so now since Brandon Collins is kind of pulled away, he's coming off the final corner. Going to be getting the white flag this time by, as Ben said earlier. White flag will be displayed. It's now turned into from a race for the win between Taro Kishida and Matt Alexander to a battle between themselves as who's going to finish second on the podium versus who's going to finish third. White flag displayed. Brandon Collins will receive it. Taro Kishida and Matt Alexander race to turn number 1.
And it looks like Matt, once again, kind of taking that outside line, see if he can get a good run coming out of 2 here.
Had a little sideways action there on the break and on the way into turn number two there. But Matt Alexander well able to hang on to the car. Here's Taro Kishida now kind of holding the spot. A little bit of gap separation between the two. Now can Matt Alexander be able to reel that back in as they head towards turn number 6? Taking a little wide, using all the track possible to him. Maybe thinking about taking a peek to the inside. No, stays in line right now. As Matt Alexander right in the tire tracks to Taro Kishida. Might wait to the second to last corner here. As they come now towards turn number 7. More lap traffic in front. Taro looks to the inside of Emmett Ryan. That lap traffic as now Brandon Collins in the 144 going to come through the final set of corners. The 2 leaders of Taro Kishida and Matt Alexander are now through. It's a race between them. They'll drag race it.
A little bit more curb than Matt did there. So is Matt going to get a better run coming out of here?
They'll drag race it to the line off the final corner, but it's going to be Brandon Collins doing the clean sweep, going 2 for 2 here today, winning GT and winning Spec Miata. Taro Kishida will hold on to second, and Matt Alexander will round out the podium spot, finishing third. Matt Keck going to come home in 4th spot. He'll take the 4th spot right now. Alex Bertinoli will take home the number 14 car in 5th. Jake Malter will cross the line in the 6th spot as he comes around now for 7th. Mike Bernardi in the number 8 will finish in 7th. Ethan Tyler in the 08 comes across the line right now to finish in 9th. Tom Bagley going to hold on to 10th for 9th, and the battle for 10th is going to be between Kevin Ballard, Scott Ballard. Kevin Ballard will get the 10th spot. Art Zeismer comes home 11th. Scott Ballard 12th. Scott Bowman in 13th. And Greg Sort 14th, David Hicks in 15th. Now we got the battle for SM2 as it still continues to rage on. As we got Luke Satterfield leading the way. Steve Stadolski as they come across the line. I believe Steve Stadolski is going to get the win over Matteo Mazzari. And Luke Satterfield is going to finish in 3rd after leading the race on the final lap and all the way through.
Yeah, so we got to wonder what happened to Luke there. I can see some hand movements from inside the car. Might have had a little bit of an off in the last turn there, so...
Luke Satterfield goes from 1st to 3rd in the last lap. Steve Stadolski able to squeak by, gets the win. Matteo Mazzari comes home in 2nd. Luke Satterfield takes home 3rd. Jake Kobus in 4th, best of the rookies in the SM2 class. Bob Gorsulik will come home in 5th. Kevin Lockridge 6th. Emmett Ryan 7th. Bill Hamill 8th. Chris Demuzio 9th. And Mark Stadolski will round out the top 10 in SM2. What a great race we were able to see there, Ben.
Yeah, really good racing. Very clean race today. These guys just put their head down and, kind of did their own thing, but kept it clean.
Very hard racing all the way through the whole entire field, and that's what we love to see here at the Audubon Country Club. We train racers, all come from a novice perspective, trying to get racers interested in the racing, and we turn them into racers like we are seeing here on display here today. Here's another look at the Spec Miata top 10. Brandon Collins comes away with the win. Taro Kishida is 2nd. Matt Alexander comes home 3rd, rounds out your podium finish. Matt Keck in 4th. Alex Bertinoli 5th. Jake Malter 6th. Mike Bernardi 7th. Ethan Tyler 8th. Tom Bagley in 9th. And Kevin Ballard rounds out the top 10 after that crazy finish that we saw between Scott Ballard and Art Zeisberg coming home for 11th and 12th.
Yeah, and so we're going to head over to kind of following these guys right into the podium, kind of get an experience. So these have just been some great shots, whether it's the in-car, from the drone shots, kind of gives you a full perspective of what the club has, what's going on around here. And you can see those top 3 drivers already. They know where they're going. They're going to pull right up to the podium there.
They know exactly where the winner's circle is, and they are very familiar with it as well. So Thank you, Greg Sorg, for allowing us to take an on-board trip with you around this whole 1.46-mile Audubon track and being able to share the experience of what it's like to be on track with you. But as we wrap up our festivities here, we're going to go down to the podium ceremony here in a little bit. But for now, we're going to be taking a quick break, and we'll be back here at the Audubon Country Club.